Octo Telematics from Rome, Italy is a global insurance telematics provider, having more than 100 partners and 5.6 million connected users worldwide. Their roots are in behavioral, contextual and driving data analysis. Their vision goes beyond the basic incremental value provided by IoT. Joining them on stage is Aviva. Together they will reveal how they succeeded in achieving real top-line and bottom-line impact. Please welcome Octo and Aviva.
Good morning. I'm Gianfranco Gianella. I'm the General Manager of Octo Telematics, and I'm proud to be here with Vittorio, who is Director at Aviva. I think the main theme of our presentation today is around the second topics of the DIA agenda, which is scaling up, right? So everybody is talking about disruption. It's quite easy to be a one-time disruptor. What we are trying to do as a company is to be a serial disruptor. And the best combination for us is to put a serial disruptor and a visionary insurer. I'm talking about the person, not necessarily about the organization. It's a unique combination because sometimes people on this side tend to say, we need to disrupt it. They do it once and they fly away. And people on the other side find a lot of reasons why not to change it. There are millions and millions of reasons why not to change things. So I think this is a unique combination that is going to drive the next 30 minutes about where we are today. So this is not about the future. It's about what is the art of possible today. And then we will have a look at the future based on solid foundation, which is where we are today. So first thing is where we are today. Everybody speaks about numbers. Everybody speaks about Internet of Things. Everybody speaks about with data. Big data, this is our footprint. So Octo is actually the company which invented the industry. I don't know how many companies you know that invented an industry. So we invented insurance telematics 16 years ago. Today we have almost 6 million of cars, which are not only cars, of things which are connected to our data center. And we basically have the most important row in this chart is the last one. So 18 million of years vehicle. 500,000 of severe crashes reconstructed to our technologies. And more than 200 billion of miles. Think about 18 million of year vehicles. It means that if you want to create a startup and you want to arrive to this, you need to have 1 million cars connected to a data center for 18 years. Or you need to have 18 million cars connected for 1 year. And you know what we discovered? Which is the opposite of our competitor tried to say, that the relationship between the value and the amount of the data is like this. This is the amount of data. This is the business value. The curve goes like this. It's not linear. It's not logarithmic. It's exponential. The more data you have, the more you create a barrier to entry. So it's about disruption, right? We understood that essentially, how many insurers there are in the room? Raise your hand. Okay. So I'm not an insurer. I'm a tech guy. I don't understand technology really in the art, but I know how to make money through technology. That's all I can do. And I did it in many industries. Then I arrived to insurance. And then I asked it to my customer, what do you do? What do you do? You go to an insurer and say, what do you do? And they will spend tons of words. But in essence, they do 3 things. They will deny this chart. They will say, no, that's not true. Our job is much more complicated. They do 3 things. They give a price to a risk. They associate a number to a risk. They manage bad events. Whatever a bad event is, right? It's a crash with a car. It's a flooding at home. It's a disease. Whatever a bad event means. And they manage a person. And you know what? They are terrible in each one of these. Terrible. They just do 3 things, and they are losing in each one of these 3 things. They give a price to a risk based on your age, based on your zip code, based on your history, based on everything which has nothing to do with your risk of driving. Nothing to do. And they know it because they call it proxy. They call it proxy. So they know it's not true. They call it proxy, right? And when there is an accident, they ask you to tell the story. They ask you and the other guy to tell the story. And even if the police arrives, it arrives late. So it's based on subjective and late data. And the CRM system of an insurer today is so rich that they can even tell to the customer, happy birthday. That's all you can do. Okay? So we said, well, there is something structurally wrong in this industry. Let's try to understand what does the real data to make a price. Who do you want to ask data? A person or a sensor when there is a crash? And how to enrich the CRM system in a way that this is really knowing your customer. We're not talking here about the future, about a startup. We're talking here about the market leader at global level with 40% of market share. So this discussion is about the art of possible. So we translated all these three problems into solution. We said, OK, it's very easy. Let's try to understand how people drive, when they drive, in which type of context, which type of behavior, if they make acceleration, deceleration, and the sequence of all these events. And that's the first problem, give a price to a risk. The second thing is, whenever there is a crash between two cars, let's ask a sensor. It's like an airplane, right? If a crash happened to an airplane, do you ask the pilot? Say, can you tell me how it happened? That's why black boxes are in airplane from 1947. 1947, okay? And the third thing is about let's have people data. Let's have people giving to us data for a reason, because what they give is less than what they get. If you want people data, you need to bring people value. And then we say, OK, you know what? We work with cars, so maybe we need also to have friends in the manufacturing of cars. And we started to work with car manufacturers, because at the end of the day, the car itself will be a big data center, and you can have all the data directly from the car. So that's the theory. This is the practice. So that's a summary of our offering, in essence. That's all we do. We are starting to sell without any PowerPoint. It's all about bringing to our customer our platform and videos about the use case. Much easier, people understand. That's the power of images. So why this is a win-win, right? It's very difficult to find industries where it's win-win, where the B provider and the C consumer wins together. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. Many of the innovation either give a privilege to the B or give a privilege to the consumer. That's a very balanced view. So we always say that we create a slice, a pie of value, and we want to have 3 different slices of this. One is for us, because we create that innovation. One is for the business, and the third one is for the consumer. And Vittorio will tell you a little bit more in practical terms what's the column on the left. So what is the winning for the insurer? What you can achieve. I tell you just one thing. Today, with current information, we have a 13x lift, which means you take an average premium of 500 euros in a cluster of people, and in that cluster of people, you can say people who deserve to pay 50 euros per year and people who deserve to pay 650 euros. One cluster which today is paying 500. Vittorio is going to give you a lot of more insight on his perspective of a visionary insurer on crash and claim.
Thank you.
Vittorio.
Thank you, Gianfranco. And let's just spend a few words about Aviva. Aviva is a well-known multinational insurer, and we have been out there over the past 3 centuries selling insurance, so we have quite a long-term understanding of our market. But what we have understood over the past months is that the next 5 years will be key to have this final revolution of insurance. We are late compared to other industries, but we think that in the coming 5 years, there will be more innovation than in the previous 3 centuries. So I would focus today on specifically application of claims of the new technology that Gianfranco showed us to claims proposition in insurance. There are 6 different layers that can have a tremendous advantage in adopting technology, starting from crash detection to validation of the crash, all the services we can provide to the customers in terms of safety and assistance, and how can we have a proactive FNOL, so how can we have the first notice of loss in a very proactive way and cutting significantly the time for this activity. We can reconstruct, we can understand how things happened, and we can then manage our claims with a more solid understanding of what happened with all the relevant data in our hands. And what are the advantages? What is the competitive advantage we can build with this technology for us? And can we use the Italian example as probably one of the most mature markets in telematic insurance, and what happened in Italy, especially in the second pillar, which is prevent fraud. We had a massive, massive reduction in prices. Over the past 5 years, prices in motor insurance dropped down of 20%. And you know what? The gap between southern Italy and northern Italy has quite almost closed. I mean, Naples was the very worst in Italy and Valle d'Aosta the very best. And now the 2 prices are pretty much similar than they were before. And this is because of the massive adoption of this technology in Italy. That started from this point of view, fraud prevention. But also the significant reduction in processing the claim, the velocity of claims settlement has given another advantage to insurers over the past years, reducing the costs for managing all the process and having a fantastic customer journey in claims. I want to go into a practical example of what we are building together with Octo in our new platform. We have recently adopted Guidewire Insurance Suite as our core insurance system. And thanks to the flexibility of the Octo solution and our core platform, we are integrating some really innovative components in our claims experience. So the practical example, I will launch a video and I will comment it while... this is an example of a crash accident. You can see that we can have the speed of the car, the angle here, the oscillation, the forces, and the impact of the car. What is really nice is that we can also have the point of view of a potential witness that was in that position at the time of the accident. With all this information, we can settle the claim and have all the things, all the data we need to create an automatic FNOL with all the information for the claims handler to manage the claim. Now, going forward, all these actions will be more and more automated, and we will reach a moment where probably 70% of attritional claims may be settled without any human intervention. In this slide, you see that we can also integrate all this information with the spare parts catalog so that we understand from the data what are the parts that have to be replaced, what is the cost of this repair, and go straight through the claim settlement with no latencies in experts collecting information, talking to the customer, etc. The customer can be really delighted by this new way of processing the claim. In this video, I'm showing you how we are integrating with Guidewire the Octo components. So this is the art of possible. This is what we are doing now, but I'm asking Gianfranco, where do we go from here?
Yeah. So first thing, this is not about a pilot. This is not about a startup. You will have 2 days to see startup tomorrow. Everything you saw so far, everything you have understood is available for millions of cars today. It's just a matter of choice. Any insurer today here in this room can do this stuff, period. It's just about you. It's not about the technology. The technology is ready. Are you ready to settle a claim in 1 hour? 70% of your crashes settle in 1 hour without human intervention? We are ready. Technology is ready. And is available for millions of cars today. So, where we are putting our money, that's a different topic. I said to you, we are talking about what is available today and what we envision for the future. This can be a little bit scaring. People can think, okay, my job is going to be replaced by an application. That's true. If you are doing a job which can be replaced by a computer, you are in the wrong job. Sooner or later, you will lose that job. The good news is that there are so many additional jobs that you can do much smarter, and we are going to discuss this. So where are we putting as a company, and I'm an owner of the company, a small owner, but I'm putting my money in these 4 different trends. First, this is about hybrid. Every insurance has legacy. There is no possibility that you start from scratch. You have your legacy. Is this a bad word? Maybe not. Your legacy is something that will survive to you. You want to innovate. So if you keep these things completely separated, either you are going to make an innovation which does not create an impact, or you are going to be killed by your legacy. There is a third way, which is hybrid. Let's go hybrid. Let's isolate components of innovation, and as soon as they work, let's migrate smoothless. That's what they are doing. And that's what we are suggesting. That's point number 1, hybrid. It's not either legacy or innovation. No one can choose between writing off hundreds of millions of legacies or not to innovate. Nobody can choose. You need to do both. And technology is ready to do that. It's all about managerial culture to implement it. That's point number 1. Point number 2, artificial intelligence. If you don't speak artificial intelligence today, you cannot even go to a Saturday night party, right? What do you discuss? You need to talk about artificial intelligence. The reality is that the relationship between people, platforms, and data is going to be inverted. We are used to the concept that data feed platforms, and then there are these mythological animals called data scientists who understand everything from this data. Is this model sustainable? I tell you, no. This is not sustainable. Think about one data. Every hour, the amount of content which enters in the web, it's like the entire movie industry from day 1 until today, every single hour. You arrive to the point where this model is not sustainable. You need to do the other way around. You need to have people who teach platforms to learn from data. It's another job. It's a complete different job. This job cannot be replaced by a computer. That other one can be, and already today is replaced by a computer. And you know what? We prove it. We made this exercise, and we had the best actuaries in the room and machine learning techniques in the other room. And guess who won on the traditional model? Machine learning. We said, we made to the 2 teams the same question: what is a crash? Think about it. What is a crash? A crash is a poor answer to an unexpected event. That's a crash. And you know who gave this answer? The machine learning. Analyzing all the data, and we came out with 7,000 reasons to have a crash, which you find here. These are all variables which impact each one of us probability to have a crash. The point where the model of data, feeding platform, and data scientists analyzing this is already today not sustainable. You cannot do this with actuaries. Not anymore. Already today. So that's the second trend. The third trend is IoT for insurance. It's true. We learn everything in motor. But when I told you in the beginning, you need to be a serial disruptor, that's what I meant. We transformed the motor insurance. Now we are starting to transform every single branch of insurance. And you know why? Because today, not tomorrow, not in 2 years, today there are more billions of things which put the data in the web than personal things. There are 9 billion of smartphones, laptops, iPad, and 10 billion of things, real things, black boxes, thermostat, valves, sensors. All these things are giving data. And you know what? 90% of these sensors can be linked to an insurance policy, either an existing insurance policy or a future insurance policy as soon as marketing department in insurance will start to do marketing, real marketing, which is thinking about new products. What's the difference between giving a price to a risk in motor based on age and zip code and giving a price to home insurance based on number of square meters? That's the same mistake. It's exactly the same mistake. So each one of these verticals, including cybersecurity, we want to patent the cybersecurity black box. It's a concept, of course. It's not a black box. But how you know if you deserve to pay hundreds of millions or tens of millions to protect against cybersecurity? Each one of these verticals can be basically benefiting from the IoT for insurance. You take sensors and you solve the three problems we discussed. You give a price to a risk, you manage a bad events, and you manage a person. And that's a third trend. Is this something that you can delegate to a computer? No. No way. You need new type of jobs. And this is the most interesting of all. Behavioral modification. Everybody speaks about behavioral analytics. Everybody speaks about understanding behaviors. I tell you one thing. Understanding human behavior is difficult. Look at this picture. 90% of the people who enter the gym, they don't walk, right? You are going there for fitness, and then it looks crazy. But people who oversimplify and say, it's easy, it's not. Understanding human behavior is a very complicated job. Very complicated job. And in the future of technocrats, this is the space for the new humanist. If you make this question, we did it. If you make this question to an engineer, and if you make the question to a psychologist, you will get two very different answers. And you need both in your organization. And that's the last point. The last point is not understanding behavior in a Cambridge Analytica way. There is also a way that you analyze behavior of people for the good, and that's the insurance angle. You know why these people is going the stairs and not going the escalator? Because that's a piano. They made a study. This is a city which has the highest number of old people in Europe and the highest number of musicians. That's big data for the good of people. They cross it and they say, let's make a pilot. What happens if people, when they walk on these stairs, that's a piano. They make a sing. And so this guy, 85 years old, no way he's going to go right. He wants to listen. That's about having behavioral analytics to manage behavioral modification. So this is where we are putting our money, the investment. So on one side, what is available today. On the other side, what we think is the future of IoT for insurance. And I will leave the final words to Vittorio, asking him from an insurance perspective, what you think will be an insurance in 10 years?
I will give you two answers to this question. From an insurer's point of view, how will look like the people who will work in insurance? We have not talked yet about the concept of dreaming. Insurance is not boring. We have to try to anticipate what the future will look like, and we have to act and execute on this dream. And the dreamers of today will be the insurers of tomorrow. But what insurance in practical technological terms will look like probably in 10 years, if we think that smartphones will have the same power of computing of a current big data centers in 10 years, we can expect to have an insurance company that is based just with a smartphone, an actuary, and a dog. The smartphone, because all the operations will be done through this device. The actuary will be needed to give food to the dog, and the dog is there barking to make sure that the actuary does not touch the smartphone. Thank you.
Thank you.